Climbers, the results you want don't matter.
Wait, what? No, I'm results oriented, Johnny.
Welcome to the Climb!
Johnny.
This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music industry. Gone are the days of the record labels and the big management companies, the big booking agencies, plucking really great talent out of obscurity, spending a bunch of money, and turning them into a household name. Nope, you're going to have to do it on your own. That's the bad news. The good news is you don't have to ask anybody's permission. So make a big splash and they're going to come to you, but you're going to need leverage to make it happen. That's why we called this podcast The Climb, creating leverage in the music business, C.L.I.M.B. See what we did there?
I see it.
That is a Baxternym created by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. Got a couple number ones last year in Southern Gospel. Got a couple new cuts this year. So we'll see, climbing the charts. We'll see how those go.
Yep.
And what I love about Brent is he helps you get what you want, get to where you want to be by becoming a professional songwriter. He does that by revealing how to write like a pro, so your content is competitive, how to do business like a pro so that you're playing in this pool in the sandbox with everybody else the way you should. And finally, once all those pieces are in place, he puts it all together and creates that relationship and gives you opportunities to do the same for yourself. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. Listen, if you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D. Okay, I'm thrown.
Matter.
I can't even read the intro because I'm so thrown by you telling me that my results don't matter.
You're shook.
I'm shook, man, to the core. I'm results oriented.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this today. This is something I picked up from one of the speakers. It was a motivational speaker at the ClickFunnels Funnel Hacker Live event in Orlando, Florida, a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that was like 4 days of complete immersion into know-how and networking and mindset and all that stuff. I mean, 4 days, like 8 to 10 hours a day. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But man, some good stuff that I just kept thinking about. Climbers on. I'm like, oh, I got to share this. I got to share this. I got to share that too. I want 6 of those, 2 of those. I'll take 3 of those. I want all this. So
yeah,
super fun. And that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about why, if you're married to the results, it's the wrong approach, and break that whole thing down. I think you're going to dig it. But before we do that, let's get into some business here. We want to give a shout out and say how grateful we are to be a part of American Songwriter Magazine's podcast network, ASPN.
Mm-hmm.
You can find that at americansongwriter.com/podcast. This is a 36-year-old magazine, y'all. Like, I think came out in 1984. And it is, which makes it 37 years old, I guess, if we do the math on that, right? It depends on what month, though. It could have been December. I don't know.
So I'm leaving it to you.
Man, I mean, my favorite heroes and your favorite heroes have graced the cover of this periodical for 37 years. And there's lots of good stuff in there. And now they've added this podcast network. So if you found us through ASPN, I should say, then welcome to The Climb. We're happy to have you on board. And if you've been a longtime climber, guys, we switched to this platform a year and a half ago. Go check out some of the other shows. They're really good. And it's right up your alley. Songwriting, indie musicians, indie artists, production, all of that. So music business kind of stuff. So join the Climb community on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/the Climb community when Facebook's working. What?
That's right.
Hello. And you have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in. So don't fret and be good boys and girls. We give you places to shout out your wins and to shout out your gigs. Put your shout outs in the right place and only in the main feed, just stuff that would be uplifting and advantageous to the community. You got a cool article you want to share, some news you heard that you want to share, that's great. Your news about your new show, not news that goes in the main feed. It goes in where it's supposed to go.
In other
So
words,
we got some.
in other words, this is a party. We just don't want pics of your food. We want you to bring a dish to the buffet. So
That's right.
actually
Yeah.
bring actual food. In other words, stuff that's gonna be helpful, stuff we can partake in ourselves. Think about giving. It's about being of value. And then we have places for you to share your own music and share your wins. That stuff that's more about you. We do provide those places. And one of those places, as Johnny was leading up to, is the New Heights post we post every Wednesday. It's where we invite you to share your wins with the community so we can all celebrate together. So got a couple of these I want to share. Marvin Adcock, he was picked by NashvilleEar.com as one of their best of the best local songwriters, which is even more awesome because Marvin lives in Kansas. He doesn't even live in Nashville, but he spends enough time there, does enough business there that this guy considers him local. And Marvin thought that was pretty cool. And I think that's pretty cool. So Marvin does good work, good, solid, classic, traditional country stuff. It's just good stuff. So congrats, Marvin. Let's see. Buddy Lee Daubertine wrote a killer song with David Lee, legendary songwriter, and most of all, awesome human being. So David Lee's had cuts by, Mark Wills. He wrote 19 something for Mark, and just a bunch of cuts, hits and stuff. He's great. So congrats, Buddy and David Lee. No relation, I'm assuming. So Brad Hacker says we have a song that's been moved to the re-listen stack for a major artist. The Amigos song
Nice.
Riding Tide has also been sent to another major artist producer. So Chris Tiscarino, Patrick Adams, and this guy, meaning Brad Hacker, are super stoked. So that's some of the wins for this past week. Also, I have a song that just cracked the top 20 on the Texas country music chart, a song called She's a River, recorded by Junior Gordon. So Junior got us in the top 10 a couple years ago with a song named Armadillo. And
I
this
remember
one's
that.
called She's a River. So congrats and good luck, Gord or Junior, and all y'all. Just keep on climbing.
Nice. I got a win too. I haven't put it in the win section of the Climb community yet because it literally just happened. But good buddy of mine that I've known for 10 years has become an investor in a record label and put together a team of investors. The label's called Get Joe Records, and it involves some people that you may know. Kent Wells is involved in that. It's Dolly Parton's producer and a friend of ours. And Dave Fowler, who is a dear friend of mine. He plays with the Artemis Pyle band now, but producer, bass player extraordinaire. He's toured with anybody and everybody. And for the record, I've never met more rock stars than I have with Dave Fowler. So, I mean, hey, you want to go hang out with Billy Sheehan? Yeah. Hey, want to go hang out with me while I, talk to the Eagles? Yeah. So these are all people that are involved in this, and Kelly Shainfeld, my ex-business partner. And their first artist is Ryan Brashear, who you just heard on Friday's video content challenge. Well, after we did that, we had a meeting yesterday, and I'm happy to say that we're going to shoot the video, all that video content for him and do that. And I'm going out to dinner tonight with Len, who is the owner of the label, and we're going to discuss digital marketing and all the things that we're going to do to help that happen. So I'm excited to share that content with you after we get it shot. And not for nothing, Brent, you came up with the idea of the song's called My Kind of Hero. And one of Brent's ideas in the video content challenge was to have somebody like in a superhero suit, like Superman, like Batman or Spider-Man, and then they tear it open. Like, you remember how Clark Kent used to tear open his shirt and then Superman was underneath of it. Well, in this case, it's Superman and they tear open their shirt and it's like a Marine underneath of it, or a cop, or a fireman or something like that. And how cool that would be for some quick TikTok content for this kind of song, because that's what it's about. And so we're going to do that. We're running with your idea, brother, because that was so beautiful. And thank you for participating in that and throwing that energy there.
My pleasure. I look forward to riding your coattails off everything you learned at the Funnel Hackers live conference. So it's all it's all a beautiful sharing game.
I'm gonna be. You know how you hate me when we start talking about DNS records and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Now you're gonna hate me.
I have mixed feelings
I
about it.
So much to share, but So anyway, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you consume the podcast, or in some places you'll follow it, which is great. And you stay with us here for usually somewhere between 40 minutes to an hour once a week, plus the external episodes that happen on Friday, those little side gigs. You do it for a reason. It's providing some kind of a value. Tell a friend about it. That's the best thing you can do to help us out. So
That's right.
let us know about that. So let's get into this. We got a lot to cover.
Yep.
So I was at this Funnel Hackers live event in Orlando. Saw a friend of the show there, Chris. Chris. Uh,
You have to be more specific.
what's her name? I forget. We'll edit that out.
Okay.
So anyway, so this is ClickFunnels,
Bradley?
which is Chris.
Chris Bradley.
Yeah, so a friend of the show there, Chris Bradley, who is on with her Produce Like a Boss program. She's been crushing it with that. And man, so this is ClickFunnels is a tool that we use, but it's a lot of motivational stuff and business intention stuff and all of that. And so you just complete immersion into this. And this one speaker there is a former NFL star, and he's got a book out called Identity Shift. His name is Anthony Trucks. And this is largely derived from his speaking engagement there. Really, really good stuff. And I couldn't stop thinking about climbers. So let's talk about an identity gap that you have first. I'm going to lead all the way up to to my comment about results that hopefully, shook you a little bit, and we're going to drive it all home. But man, do you have an identity gap? If you have a dream and you're not living it, that's the gap. Right. So exactly, what are you doing to live your dream? Lots of people get faced with adversity, and not lots of people, everybody. There's no such thing, by the way, as a life with nothing but unbroken boulevard of green lights.
Yeah.
It's everybody has adversity, pain, different forms of oppression, all kinds of stuff. We all have to go through it. We all have to. You're going to meet a-holes every single day of your life, and some of them, unfortunately, are closer and are really able to do damage than others. And everybody has this stuff to go through, and it sort of molds how we react to things later in our life. And when you are faced with some kind of adversity, confrontation, doubt, or confusion about your life, do you lean into it or do you lean out of it? We put up what's called identity walls. So all artists, songwriters, musicians, etc., they have identity walls, and identity walls occur when you feel out of character, right? So when something gets uncomfortable, it's out of character.
So I have
That's
my
where the wall
identity,
goes up.
and I have these walls around my identity. This is the boundaries of my identity, what I do, what I'm good at, who I am. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so in order to progress, you're going to need to climb over these walls.
Because
right?
there's a gap between my identity, my walled in little kingdom here, and where I want to be.
And where you
there's
want
a wall in, but there's not only a gap between who I am and who I want to be. There's a wall, and that's what my identity is, right?
Or a set of walls. Yeah.
Which are
a set of walls. And so, I think that the walls are something that everybody has. And by the way, they're recurring. They're different walls. Once you get over one wall and you move forward, now you got a new wall. And as long as your goal is to improve as a human being and as an artist, as a songwriter, then there's going to be another wall that's in your way, and you're going to have to figure out how to get over that. Right. And which is, kind of see where we're going here with the results don't matter. Hello. The results don't matter. So when you feel out of character, that can be when you feel like something is beneath you, right? Something like that you're farther along on your journey and you don't do that anymore.
Well, there's that story that you tell of Ozzy Osbourne's guitar player who was it Randy Rhoads?
Yes, Randy Rhoads.
When he's on the road, would go and book guitar lessons in whatever town they happen to be in, even though he was better than the guitar lesson teacher.
Half the time he was given the lesson. Yeah.
Right. So you look at going, what's Randy Rhoads? He's like rock guitar, master. And
he's a legend. A legend.
Getting lessons at the local guitar center is beneath him. But yet it's not. And that's why he's Randy Rhoads. and I'm not.
Exactly right. Exactly right. That's out of character work, right? That's not what you would think his character would be. But he's going to go and do that work when, instead of trying to recover from partying so hard the night before with Ozzy, he's he's up out and about and at a local music store getting a lesson or giving a lesson.
Right.
But with the intention of getting one, but sometimes he's like, "Oh, well, here's how you do
You
that
think
mode,"
anyone
and
charged him?
Randy Rose just walked in, wondered if he could get a lesson from you.
Dude, $20
Kid,
or hit the
beat it.
bricks.
Here's $20. Get out of here. Yeah.
Right? If you ain't got the cash, walk, buddy.
So
Anyway.
I think sometimes we miss opportunities because we feel some kind of work or some action is beneath us, and therefore we don't take it. And you might miss opportunities to meet people that are actually in your class who are doing that same kind of work,
Oh, I'll
right?
tell you one on me.
Yeah.
I graduated college, went straight through, got my MBA. So my master's in business administration, my MBA. Got a job, ended up quitting that job, moving to Nashville without a job, which I said I would not do, but I did. Started waiting tables at Cracker Barrel. Had my class ring on from college saying you got your MBA. Apparently you're supposed to be smart, or at least you paid money to so people
But
think
you're
you're
working at
smart.
Cracker Barrel.
And
Yeah.
I'm getting 25-cent tips from little old ladies with their Uncle Hershey's breakfast going, "Hey, you're just such that you did a good job. Here's your 25 cents." I'm like, I have a master's degree.
Yeah.
Is it beneath me? No, it wasn't beneath me because it helped me get where I wanted to go. It helped pay the bills so I didn't have to go get another cubicle job in Nashville and I could chase music.
That's precisely out of character work. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I mean by that. Sometimes out of character can mean that you're feeling something is above you, right? Too far above you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just plain old fear, right? That you and I have called it imposter syndrome before.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, at this event, Tony Robbins was the last guy to speak, and um, it was amazing. And very early on in his presentation, he had everybody, raise your hand if you've ever had imposter syndrome. And I like to believe in our podcast here and the way that you and I speak about this. We frame imposter syndrome as it's the name that we give to it. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
many names that we give to fear, but it is something that I want to believe that we're framing as this needs to be dealt with. Like you
Yes.
need to. This is something that you have to get over. That everybody has it. You have to get over. And the way Robbins attacked it was just like everybody had raised their hand, and he's like, "Yeah, that's bullshit. Like it's just fear."
Yeah.
As if you can't use this as a new sort of syndrome. Well, I could do it, but I have imposter syndrome. Like it's some kind of,
Yeah.
excuse, right?
Right.
To
Oh, it
give
has a
yourself a
fancy
pass.
name, so therefore I'm off the hook.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, everybody has it. It's just fear. And what happens is we get stuck in the familiar within those identity walls. We get stuck in the familiar with routines, right? Work routines, family
Mm-hmm.
routines, daily routines, love routines, relational routines that could be platonic relational routines or romantic relational routines or business relational
Mm-hmm.
routines. And to avoid getting stuck in any kind of familiar, we have to do what you did, Brent, when you went and worked at
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel with a class ring and a master's degree
Mm-hmm.
was out of character work. That's work in the dark, right?
Yeah.
That's work that you could feel is beneath you. I've done that a million times myself. Where to get Daredevil started, there was a long time where I was driving Uber
Mm-hmm.
for 18 months. I drove Uber because
Yeah.
it was actually perfect for me to be able
Yeah.
to tap out whenever I needed to, because I had this crazy opportunity with an artist coming through on tour that wanted to meet with me, and I could take the meeting anytime I wanted because I had that flexibility
Mm-hmm.
and and was able to do that. And I'm driving around a lot of people I want to be doing business with, not for nothing.
Yeah.
Right. But of course, I'm not bringing it up as the Uber driver. Like, hey, we should work. We should talk.
It's like, we're
That's
working right now. You're driving me. I'm paying you.
yeah, it's a bad place to do it. Right.
Yeah.
But certainly had some conversations with people and stuff, but I wasn't trying to be remembered as an Uber driver. So I just was there to do my job and get the hell
Yeah.
out. I don't think that's a good networking thing, but
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. But point being, that was, my version of your Cracker Barrel. I mean, just I got to pay the bills
Mm-hmm.
while I'm focused on this thing over here. Um, Out of character work could be work that scares you because you feel like you're not ready yet, because
Mm.
you feel like it's above you, maybe too far above you, right? And let
Oh,
me
it was
save you
scary
this.
when I launched Songwriting Pro, or like the membership,
Oh, sure.
component. Back then it was called Freddie. Oh, that was scary going, I got to keep up with this thing every month, and I'm charging people every month, and how do I do this? And yeah.
Yeah. Let me. So here's a question. This leads right into the next part of what I want to say. On a scale of 1 to 10, when you launched Songwriting Pro and the membership, how ready were you?
About a 1, it felt like.
About a 1. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
And so let me save you all the suspense out there. Of course, you're not ready either. You'll
yeah.
never be ready. You will never be ready. You'll never be truly ready. You have to be able to do the out of character work.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what out of character work should you be doing? That's a question I want to ask all climbers. And then second, I have another question. Why aren't you doing it?
So what
Right?
what
Why
do you
aren't
mean by like out of character work? What's a way that we could frame that to help them understand that?
so again, just to go back to what we were saying, this is work that you could feel beneath you.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about you working at uh, Cracker Barrel, me driving for Uber. These are things that maybe you had a master's degree with
Mm-hmm.
a class ring, but
Right.
you're going through the actions that you need to go through to get to the destination you want to get to, which is to
Yeah.
become a professional songwriter. And so, with a master's degree, you're working a Cracker Barrel, which seems a little silly on paper, right?
It
But
it it was not it was not what you call pride inducing.
right,
If you like what, so maybe like what, how can we frame this? What could you be doing to help your career, but would maybe make you feel a little awkward explaining it to like former classmates, your mom and dad,
yeah,
a girl that you want to go out with? Like what might
starting
make
Dare,
you,
starting
make you feel like
Daredevil.
a pompous, arrogant a-hole, or like, oh, you're
Yeah,
waiting tables and you have a master's degree. How's
exactly.
that working out for you? How's the student loan payments going? You paying that with your 25-cent tips? Like,
I mean,
think
all
about
the
that.
all
What
the
could I do that would make me feel a little awkward? Either
Yeah,
way,
I think
either
that's
end
a
of the
that's a
spectrum.
good way to put it. I mean, as much money as I made in the financial industry, um, after that crash, and then I started Daredevil. Well, on paper, knowing that I can sell and I can sell high ticket items and sophisticated stuff
Hmm.
like circuit board design, that is freaking sophisticated.
Yeah.
Mortgages are it's not rocket science, but it is sophisticated, and there's a lot of moving parts. But to be able to do that and market it effectively, and the money that I made, what am I doing? What did I mean, on paper, Daredevil just looks stupid, but I just knew
Hmm.
that's where I was supposed to be, and so I was willing to do the out of character work. But you're never going to be ready for that stuff that scares you. And so the question is, why aren't you doing that work? And I'll tell you that we all get stuck and some of us get stuck, but we all have to deal with um, moving forward when we don't know, quote unquote, don't know how to
Hmm.
do it. Right. Some of us get stuck or we simply stop. Now, Brent, we've talked about this on the podcast before, and we've termed it one of many terms is paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
I'm going to do tons of research so I can get this right, because here's the killer. You're focused on the result.
Hmm. I
You're
want to I
focused
want to
on
have
the
all my
result.
bags packed and know exactly what I need and be at the airport before I even book a flight. Right?
Exactly.
I got to know
That's
exactly
a
what I'm
really good
packing for
analogy.
Denmark. I got to know exactly what the weather's going to be like, even though they don't even do weather reports a month out. Basically, they
Yeah.
do seasons, but they don't do weather reports. And I got to have everything booked and be at the airport before I commit to buying a ticket to go, because I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that trip. Well, guess what? I've never been ready for a single flight I've taken because I was neither packed nor at the airport when I booked it.
Good point. I mean,
I
there it
will
is,
figure
right?
out what I'm taking I will figure out my luggage situation, and I will get to the airport.
And you trust that you'll figure out your luggage situation.
Well,
You
I
trust that
can't
you
book the
figure out what
flight.
you're
I don't know what
taking.
time. I don't know what time the flight's going to be. I can't book it. Well, you find out
Yeah,
when you book it.
yeah,
You pick the flight.
exactly. You have to take the action before you can find out what time it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, here's the deal. Your results are not about quote unquote, I put this in air quotes here, knowing what to do, and I can prove it.
All right.
This is going to sting.
Okay.
Take a deep
Okay.
breath.
All right.
You know how to get healthy. Why aren't you?
Ouch.
You know how to be a better spouse, don't you? Why
Mm-hmm.
aren't you? Why aren't you that better spouse?
Because no, just kidding.
You know how to post on social media, and you know that you should be doing more of it. Why aren't you? You know you should be on TikTok, and you know how to start a TikTok account.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you? Right?
Because excuses. Because
Well,
excuses, Johnny.
yeah. And so here it is. Guess what? It's not enough to have all the proper tools in the information. Okay. That's not enough. It's not nearly enough. Give a hammer to a baby. You're not going to create a house. You might create a medical bill, but
Right. Yeah.
you're not going to create a house, right? Give a hammer to a construction worker. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to get a house, by golly, having a Pro Tools rig and knowing how to press record doesn't mean that you know how to make records.
Right.
Okay. People love what we do as artists, as songwriters, as musicians. They're drawn to that. There's a big, big, big market for that.
Mm-hmm.
At the height of the market, we're talking 75 billion a year market for that, because we do something that is incredibly hard
Mm-hmm.
and we make it look easy,
Yeah.
right? And the secret ingredient to making it look easy is not knowing how to do it. Quote, air quotes, knowing
Yeah.
how to do it. The secret ingredient to making it look easy is not having the right tools. If you go get yourself a 1959 gold top Les Paul and a vintage Marshall stack,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that doesn't mean that you know how to play guitar and you can blow my mind and make me feel something. Um, the the secret ingredient is action. When you take action, you create progress. When you create progress, you create results. But you can't be focused on the results. You have to be focused on the action, right? Because when you take action without knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you learn, don't you?
That's right. I never knew how to write any of the 1,000+ songs I've written. I didn't know how to write any hit I've written, any cut I've written. I didn't know how to do it. I had to
Until it was done.
until it was done. That's how I did it. I don't ever know how I do it. I might know how I did it, and sometimes even then, it's a big question mark. But we start off, and you go, and there's that moment of fear, going, oh, I don't know how to write this. Even if you're like, oh, it's a burst of inspiration. Where like, oh, I got the vision for this. Oh, I know
Yeah.
what I want to do with this. How are you going to get there? I'm just going to take the first step and then work it out. And you have more confidence that you can do it the more you've done it. But you don't know how, if the song doesn't come fully formed, right? It's a mystery. Even if you know, like, hey, I want to do this kind of thing and I have a clear vision for it that I want to get to, exactly how to get there, there's always some unknown. So you don't know exactly how to do that.
That's right. And you have to trust in that process, and you have to be able to take the action,
You have to trust the process.
trust the
Yes.
process. I mean, you learn when you take action without knowledge, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you take action without the perfect tools, you
Mm-hmm.
discover workarounds to get your result, don't you?
Oh yeah. And sometimes
You
looking
know,
for the perfect tool is a good excuse. I mean,
to
I've talked
delay
to people that have,
the action,
oh, I
right?
got to find this thing for this website. I got to find this perfect thing. I'm like, listen, I cobbled so much crap together, starting like with Songwriting Pro and different things. At one point, we had the C.L.I.M.B, we had Freddie and Songwriting Pro, different website, and having to then eventually form them into, fewer brands and upgrade tech. It's like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'll earn my way into that. I'm going to
Yeah.
start.
Just you got to start.
There's
That's it.
here's a
I,
great analogy. I heard from, I think, Seth Godin talking about just iterating. You get it out there and you iterate. I mean, you cycle and you learn and you try, fail, and you learn and you make it better. He goes, basically, we like basketball. We basically have a perfectly engineered basketball to do what it's supposed to do. Like, just it's world class. It's amazingly engineered. And basketball's been around like 100 years or something, right? If
yeah.
you had them sitting in a lab going, here's the game of basketball we're thinking about starting. We want you to design the perfect ball for this sport. And they design it for 100 years. And then they introduce, this is the basketball. It would probably be flipping right.
Oh,
It'd probably be like square or something,
well, it would suck. It would suck compared to
Exactly.
the perfectly engineered basketball we have now
Because nobody's
because it
played with
came
it.
through iteration,
Exactly. And this is
right?
not the basketball we started off with. This is the
Right.
ball that through experience and people playing it and stuff, you end up over time, small modifications lead to this wonderful basketball. Wouldn't have come up with this, anything nearly this good if it's set in a lab for 100 years, even putting people's big brains to work on it.
That's right. I mean, gosh, I think about the story behind the Wright brothers. You
Yeah.
know, and the competition they had with I can't remember what his name was, but
The
this was
Wrong
the guy
Brothers?
that was like the big scientist who had like all of the financial backing of the
Uh-huh.
US government. You're going to be the guy that's going to get us to flight first. And the Wright brothers with that owned a bicycle shop and funded
Huh.
everything themselves because they were out doing it all the time
Yeah.
and creating massive mistakes and crashing all the time to figure out how to fly were the first ones to do it and the
Yeah.
other guy wasn't with all that scientific knowledge and everybody overthinking it because they were too much they were focused on the results, they weren't focused on the action,
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, again, you find workarounds. I can't tell you how many times when I had a little 4-track back in the 80s and we're trying to record and the microphone clip breaks. It's the only
Mm-hmm.
microphone clip we have, you know. Well, are we just done recording now? Now hold on a second. I got this. And you get a dirty sock out of your hamper and you
Mm-hmm.
tie it to the microphone stand and you just got to get the knot just right so that the tip of that microphone's aimed at the part of the cone you want to get your tone back. And there you are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Bob's your uncle, and now you're on your way. That's a workaround, right? Like you don't. Where do you read about that? Like where do you know?
Yeah.
You don't. It's when you're focused on the action. The action is I'm going to get this guitar track right now as opposed to how am I going to get this guitar track before I start recording it
Yeah.
exactly?
Well,
I need to know.
Johnny, you know this phrase, right? A journey of 1,000 miles starts with what?
One step, the
Now,
first step.
it starts with a single step. Is the journey of 1,000 miles a single step?
No,
No. It doesn't matter how well you plan that step. You're not getting there one step. It
that's
starts
right.
with a single step.
That's right. So, you know, we just made a serious case here for the fact that knowledge and tools don't amount to any kind of production or progress or success or monetary benefits or notoriety or any kind of love without action.
Mhm.
Action is the key. And you have to become, you know, we talked about identity gaps. Like you want to become this person, right? That you
Yes.
see. Here's a good question to ask you, like where you're at right now. And speaking of your actions, right? What would the person who has what you want do in this situation? Right? Like if you want to be a hit songwriter and
Mhm.
Tim Nichols could follow, what would Tim Nichols do with whatever speed bump it is that you have right now?
Yeah.
What would he do with that situation? You know, if you want to be an artist, whoever your favorite artist is, if it's Tim McGraw or Metallica or Jay-Z or whatever,
Mhm.
like if what would that person do if they were in your situation right now?
Right.
What would they do?
It's
And
a
here's
little bit of
another
like,
way to sort of
how would Tim Nichols write this song? Oh, how would so and so write this? Okay, well they do this. Or yeah, how's he going to start his day? How's he going to build his day? Is his songwriting day going to start when he
yeah.
walks in the room? No, it's going to start with, I don't know what his day starts with. But in a house
Has he
nicer
done a
than
song
mine.
title challenge before he walks into that room? Does he have like a killer idea once he drops the title and everybody's like, nah, I don't know. And he's like, and it'll be about this. And like, oh, wait a second.
Mhm.
Let's do that. Okay. I'm feeling that, you know. Like, is that what it is? And here's another one that stings a little too. If your hero, your songwriting hero, your artist hero, your musician hero followed you around for a day, what would they say?
Hmm.
What would
Gonna
they
say you're
say about
wasting a
your
lot of time.
actions?
Would they know that you want to be them? Would there be
Yeah,
enough evidence?
would you look like an artist? Would you look like a
Yeah.
songwriter? Would you look like a musician,
And look like,
if they
we don't
followed
mean
you
the way
around?
you dress. We mean like if they follow your actions. Do
Yeah.
your actions look like that of a songwriter or an artist or
So
producer
so
or
pig
whatever?
yeah, piggybacking on that,
Or do you look like a
would
TV critic? Yeah, you're
would you
watching a
change your
lot of
behavior?
TV. Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, I remember, okay, so we worked with this one artist that befriended this person who considered themselves a producer. He had a Berkeley degree in music, and he asked him, he's a producer. And we were waiting for this demo to come back of this song that she had written, and the song was fantastic. And
Mhm.
the whole team loved it. And the demo we got back, it took forever to get. I mean, like months
Yeah.
to get this back, right? And then finally we get it back, and it's total shite. It's
Yeah.
absolutely horrible. It's like some jazz odyssey thing with a pop rock artist, you know? And it's like, man, what are you doing? And he's got a million reasons why it didn't come to, well, if I had a better studio and, you know, the right guy, I mean,
Mhm.
we had to do this on a budget. And I'm like, dude, you know, this is not, you don't look like a producer. You don't
Yeah.
sound like a producer. You haven't, you know, the two main things a producer has to do is honor the artist brand and honor the song, you know,
Yeah.
and he did none of those two things. None of
On
those.
time and under
So
budget.
yeah. Yeah. On time, that's like 50% of it, right? So he's way over budget, way over time. And what we have is completely unusable. And he's done none of those things. You know why? Because he's never actually tried producing. He just thinks he is. There's a big, huge
Yeah.
gap between what he thinks he is and what that really is.
But you know what?
And
He's
the
more of
difference
one
between that.
even and he's more of one even failing on that artist project than he was the day before. Even though it
That's
failed,
right. That's a good point.
he's learning. He
That's
got
a
that
good point.
feedback, so it's like he's more of one that there than he's ever been.
That's a really good point. You know, so there's an unseen investment here, was what we're kind of alluding here, what we're talking about. There's an unseen investment on out of character work. And that unseen investment is energy. You're investing energy.
Mhm.
Okay. That's what you're investing, energy. You've got to move, you've got to take action. Now, when you invest anything, you want a return on that investment. And the return on that investment is you become that thing, right? Whatever that step is, that next step on that journey of 1,000 miles, you get to that next step. I liken it to, I had a great intern who was just a god on Adobe Premiere Pro, which is like the editing software
Mhm.
for Adobe Premiere Pro, which I can't I have yet to learn, okay?
Mhm.
So I wouldn't know my way around this or that. So when I'm with him and we're editing and he's like, I'm like, "Hey, do this, move this, try that, boom, boom, boom." It
Mhm.
happens like as fast as I can say it because he owns that system, right?
Yeah.
He knows how to work that tool. But if I let him edit stuff by himself and I don't have that input on what to do,
Mhm.
it's completely amateur, right?
Yeah.
Because and I'm not ripping on him. That's just he's a student, right? That like
Yeah.
that's where he's coming on his journey. And so different things of like, you know, you can't edit 3 pieces of content together that have the same shot look, you know? Like
Mhm.
we need to change the shoot, change it's either close up or back or this shot or that shot. Like it has to be interesting or it just looks like weird jump cuts that only
Yeah.
work kind of in sales situations. They don't
Yeah.
work like in a music video, you know? So it's that kind of thing. He's got all the tools. Certainly, he
Mhm.
knows exactly how to use that tool. He's a master at that tool. But still, the only way he's going to become an editor is to do that work, right? Is to
Experience.
do a bunch of editing and get that experience. And then he becomes the editor, right? Which
Yeah.
is for all of you something that you're going to have to become knowledgeable about moving forward because there's going to be so much video content associated with your success. Whether you've got somebody, if you've got somebody doing it for you, you're going to want to be in there putting your thumbprint on that
Mhm.
or, um, or you're going to get rank stuff,
Yeah.
from people who don't understand how to edit video, So there it's that kind of it's that kind of a situation. Um, so the return is you become that thing. And we've all heard that the adage about the overnight successes and how it took them 10 years to become that overnight success,
Hmm.
The work that they did in that 10 years leading up to the overnight success that we became aware of was work that they did in the dark.
Yeah. It's the part of the iceberg that's under the water.
And what I mean by Yeah, exactly. It's work that they did without recognition, without accolades, without monetary gain. It was work in the dark to get them to the light. You had mentioned a story to me. I remember, Brent. You got to tell that story about Keith Urban.
Oh yeah. So early in Keith's career, like before he was famous, I believe, like he was, with Keith Urban's Four Wheel Drive or with the Ranch or something like that. So this is like back in the day when he's playing like on Broadway or something, or Third and Lindsley. And there are some like I don't remember what guitar player it was, but it was like a well-known guitar player, went and saw him and turned to his buddy and was like, that guy spent a lot of hours in a lonely room. He spent a lot of
Yeah,
hours in a lonely room.
mastering that instrument, man.
Yeah.
Because Keith Urban is a straight up knockdown, drag out, undeniable rock guitar god and country guitar, just a guitar god.
Just yeah.
Period. I think he can play anything.
He knows his way
Um,
around the fretboard, yeah.
Yeah, he does, and so, so it's like all of that work happens because he took action.
Mhm.
He wasn't focused on a result. He was focused on the action, like, I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to keep learning this. I'm going to master this thing because he was just fascinated for doing it.
Well, if you get I think what it is, it's about like trusting the process, and focusing on the process. You have your result in mind that you want. I mean, we need to have a goal ultimately in mind that what we want to
Hmm.
be, right? But it's realizing we have that in mind, but day to day, we're doing the process, we're doing the steps. Like if Keith had started off saying, I want to play, I don't know,
Arenas.
Desperado or whatever back in the day, like I want to play it perfectly. All right, when he's just starting out, just learning, right?
Right.
And he's not going to, right? Because he doesn't know
Yeah.
what a G chord is yet. I don't want to learn a G
Yeah.
chord. I don't want to learn an E. I don't want to learn whatever. I just want to play this perfectly. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not quit for that. And he's just going to get frustrated and quit if he's trying to play it perfectly. Like, I just bought a guitar and I bought a chord book of the Eagles and here's Desperado and I want to try and play this. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wax on, wax off, paint the fence.
Yeah.
Mr. Karate
Before you can
Kid.
strengthen your hands, and yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's perfect, Climbing your identity walls and removing that identity gap only happens through actions, period. Through actions you gain knowledge. Sometimes you learn from failure. Sometimes you learn because you have to take an action now and you have to quickly learn this thing over here to take the action you want to take. For instance, like I didn't study iMovie, which is where I do a lot of some of my editing for like different corporate stuff and everything that's not sophisticated editing.
Hmm.
I learned that in in iMovie. I didn't know iMovie. I didn't take a big course on iMovie and prepared to. Okay, now I'm ready to edit. No, I shot the freaking video, and I'm like, how the hell do I put this together? And so then I'm in there and I'm farting around with it. And sometimes I'm like, I know there's an easier
Hmm.
keystroke to get me from here to here. So, Google is my friend. How do I do this in iMovie? There's your answer in 30 seconds or less. Boom, back to work. And now you slowly just sort of build your prowess on
Hmm.
whatever tool you're in. But that's that knowledge is a result of the action, right? I need to do this easier. How do I do this easier? So success and whatever that means to you, whether it's success as a songwriter or as a musician or as an artist, and if success means progress to you, like you're decidedly a better songwriter now than you were a year ago, or you're
Hmm.
decidedly a bigger artist or better artist now than you were a year ago, or better guitar player now than you were a year ago, that only comes when you take action that is disconnected from the results.
Hmm.
Think
It's
about
aimed
that
at
for
the
a second.
results. but it's not
but it's disconnected from
right.
it. Yeah. So it's you know, if you think about,
Okay,
well, I
I want
think
to go
like
to a house. Okay, the White House is on Pennsylvania Avenue, right? I want to
right.
get to Pennsylvania Avenue from my house, which means I got to start
Yeah.
off on a road that is disconnected from Pennsylvania Avenue. Eventually, it connects there, but I'm not getting on
Yeah.
hopping on the road on Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm
That's a
hopping
good
on Main
analogy.
Street or Broadview or whatever. Well, this isn't Pennsylvania Avenue. No, it's not. But this one leads to another one, leads to an interstate, which leads to an exit ramp, which leads to which leads to Pennsylvania
That's
Avenue.
right. I want to get a top 5 single from, um, Alan Jackson. Okay, step 1, get a master's degree. Step 2, work at Cracker Barrel.
All right.
That doesn't sound like it makes
And
sense,
even
does it?
before
But
that,
yet,
right with
that's what
a
happened.
even before that, get a master's degree, work in a cubicle in Little Rock, Arkansas, write a song with an MTSU student named Aaron Enderlin, who's still in college and doesn't have a publishing deal or any cuts either.
Yeah.
Then moved to Nashville wait tables, and oh look, this other thing happened. How'd that happen? I don't know. I don't know how it happened. I was just
That's right.
I was writing songs and trying to get them to people that could do something with it, and studying my craft and trying to write the best songs I could. And voila, just like I planned it.
Yeah, right? Exactly, just like you planned it, right? It never works out that way. So, I
Yeah.
mean, when you're disconnected from the results, like I interviewed a lot of I interviewed as many artists and songwriters as I could at this festival, which was, part of our gig of being over there.
Hmm.
But speaking specifically to the brand names that have success that are making a living right now, being songwriters,
Hmm.
just songwriters.
Yeah.
I remember interviewing with when I interviewed Tim Nichols, and Live Like You Were Dying. I mean, Heads Carolina, Tails California. He talks about what you and I have referred to in the past, Brent, as uh, like a certain healthy amount of delusion, right?
Yeah.
Like you suck in the beginning. You
Hmm.
suck,
Yeah.
and in order to suck less, you have to continue to take action, disconnected from the result. Where to tie that in with something that Tony Robbins said that I loved. He talked about money. So let's just look at like a lot of money as like a result that some people would like. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Or at least a comfortable enough amount of money so they don't have to worry about money, right?
Yeah.
Like where you don't have to worry about paying bills anymore. But he said, money, people think that money will make them happy, but money doesn't make them happy. And he knows
Correct.
all the billionaires, and he's
Yeah.
like, man, there's 2 of them that are really like well-adjusted, cool people. The rest of them are miserable because they were miserable before
Yeah.
they were billionaires, and they're still miserable now. And he's like, money is an amplifier. If you're an a-hole and you get a lot of money, you're going to be a bigger a-hole when you have a lot of money.
Right.
If you're somebody who is philanthropic and you give of your time and you give of your money, then you're going to do more of that when you have more money.
Hmm.
So you put that into this sort of lens of what we're talking about. Um, when you're the type of person who's interested in getting better and necessarily instead of a end result,
Hmm.
then that's how that healthy delusion gets fed and you move forward, right?
Yes.
Because you're like, where you want to be is just a little farther along than where you were. And
Yeah.
and that feels good because you're marching forward on this journey to become a craftsman at whatever it is that you're going to be: guitar player, singer, artist, songwriter, marketer,
Hmm.
whatever, manager. But if you are the type of person who is going to, once they feel they've met their destination, kick your feet up on the desk, light a cigar, and just let the world, fall to your feet and bow down, then trust me, you're going to misjudge that destination, right?
Yeah.
You're the kind of guy like that guy that you had, Brent, where it was just like, well, I'm already a great songwriter. I mean, I don't know quite how to tell you this, but
Yes, but I'm
I'm
wonderful.
kind of a big deal. And here's why I don't have any
success.
Leverage to show for it, anything to show for it. Yeah. Because of, this excuse, that excuse,
Mhm.
this, I don't live in Nashville. I'm not the right race. I'm not this, I'm not that. Like what, all BS. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But and that's a turnoff to people that can help you go along on that
Uh-huh.
journey. And yet there are people that may be less of a songwriter than what that guy was, but have a better mindset and who are disconnected from the result and connected to the action and
Mhm.
just love the process of writing and love the process of being an artist and doing that. And they are much more fun to be around. So they're going to get more opportunities,
They
right? You
are.
see how
Yeah,
that works?
and
So
that's
think
a
about
big
this
deal. I
too.
mean, when I started off, I was delusional. I had that delusion that Tim talks about that, I thought, yeah, me and my buddy Tim Meitzen sitting on a hay bale in Arkansas camping out overnight writing songs, trying to be Garth or something. We thought a lot of our stuff was just as good as stuff on the radio because we didn't even understand the nuances and how much better the stuff on the radio was than ours. We didn't even have a concept of it. We didn't know enough to know how little we knew, but it was beautiful because we certainly enjoyed those bad beginner novice songs. We enjoyed them. We were proud of them,
Yeah.
and that got us writing more songs. But we also knew that we wanted to get better, and that was the thing that kept
Yeah.
us growing. Sometimes if you think you've already arrived, you stop moving, right? I'm arrived. Now the world just needs
Yeah.
to come to me. Well, thankfully, we had the delusion, but we also wanted to get better and we kept writing and we kept trying to learn and knowing we wanted to get better. And so we did. Until eventually, maybe we got to kind of the place where we thought we were 15 years before or something.
And when you're focused on the action and the process of it and the journey of it, which is all about taking action, then you're going to start to get better and better results, but the results are always going to continue to improve
Hmm.
because of the action, right? And that's why the results don't matter. And now think about this mindset wise. When your parents probably wanted you to have a backup plan to your musical aspirations or your songwriting aspirations, and maybe even you in your mind out of fear was like, I should have a backup plan because you never know what's going to happen and blah, blah, blah. Well,
Hmm.
um, that is a mindset that is wholly focused on results
Hmm.
and not the action in a large degree. I get it. I understand it. I totally understand it, but it's focused on result. These results, this is where you're going to get more predictable results. And so therefore it's safer as opposed to being focused on, action, right? And
Hmm.
having that. So I get that, but that's how I want to wrap this whole thing up, guys, with these two big value bombs right now. Are you married to the action or are you married to the results in what it is that you're trying to do? And the reason that I'm asking that, because here's the thing, results vary.
Yes, they do.
Actions don't.
I got an analogy. Marry the action. The result, that's that beautiful little baby.
There you go. I like that. That's right.
Oh.
Because results vary, actions don't.
Mhm.
And that's what you need to be focused on, guys. So that takes us to the end of another Killer Climb episode, guys. Get the brand new download, which is how to honor the digital platform. This is a large document, man. And this is a PDF document. It's like 12 megs or something. It's small enough to get through your email, but there's a lot of information going on there that's just going to reset your brain on what you should be focusing on in terms of how to promote yourself on a digital platform versus the way you've been promoted to, which has largely been on a broadcast platform. And there's a big difference. And when you understand the difference between the two, you're going to start asking the right questions, and then you're going to be making and getting the right answers. Your subconscious will reward you. Just go to giftfromjohnny.com, JOHNNY, giftfromjohnny.com, and tell us where to send it. We'll get that out to you. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.